Living past 100 in the United States is rare, but it's not impossible. And in many cases, the difference between someone passing at 75 and someone reaching 105 isn't just genetics, it's food. What you put into your body every single day has the power to either age you or protect you. Across the United States, United Kingdom, Canada, and Australia, people are waking up to this truth. The standard American diet has been linked to chronic inflammation, metabolic disease, and early cognitive decline. But there are people, even in the United States, who are pushing beyond those limits. Their secret? Food choices that reduce inflammation, support mitochondria, protect telomeres, and feed gut health. This is not about dieting or counting calories. This is about food as medicine. We start with extra virgin olive oil, one of the most powerful anti-aging foods on Earth. This isn't just a trendy Mediterranean health fad. In places like Icaria and Sardinia, where a large percentage of the population lives well into their 90s and 100s, olive oil isn't just a dressing, it's a daily necessity, but it's the polyphenols in high-quality, cold-pressed, unfiltered, extra virgin olive oil that are the key. These compounds reduce oxidative stress and lower inflammation throughout the body, especially inside your arteries. Studies out of Harvard and other major U.S. institutions show that people who use olive oil as their primary fat have a dramatically lower risk of cardiovascular disease. One U.S.-based study even showed that just replacing margarine, butter, or mayonnaise with olive oil could cut the risk of dying from any cause by over 30%. Americans have been fed a lie about fat for decades, and the consequences are right in front of us. Skyrocketing rates of stroke, Alzheimer's, and heart failure. But what would happen if every American household replaced their processed seed oils with real, high polyphenol olive oil? Next is wild-caught salmon, not farmed, never farmed. Most farmed salmon consumed in the United States is full of antibiotics, genetically modified feed, and synthetic coloring. Wild salmon, especially from Alaska, contains high levels of omega-3, fatty acids that nourish the brain, protect the heart, and dramatically reduce chronic inflammation. Inflammation is the silent killer behind nearly every age-related disease in the U.S., from arthritis to cancer. Omega-3s, especially DHA and EPA, lower this inflammation at a cellular level, and the benefits are not small. People with the highest blood levels of omega-3s have been shown to live over 5 years longer than those with the lowest levels. That's 5 more birthdays, 5 more Christmases, 5 more summers with your grandkids. In British Columbia, Canada, where wild salmon is a staple, indigenous elders often live well into their 90s with clear minds and strong bodies. And that's not coincidence, it's biological. Then we have fermented foods, and these are non-negotiable. Kimchi, sauerkraut, kefir, miso, natto, these foods feed your microbiome, which controls everything from mood to immunity to inflammation. In the United States, gut health is often neglected. Between antibiotics, processed food, and chronic stress, most Americans are walking around with dysbiosis and don't even know it. This gut damage is directly linked to autoimmune conditions, IBS, fatigue, depression, and even early-onset Alzheimer's. But in places like Okinawa, Japan, where fermented foods are eaten daily, these diseases are incredibly rare. What makes this even more alarming is that many doctors in the United States still overlook gut health completely. But the people who live to 100 almost always have one thing in common: a diverse and healthy gut microbiome. Studies out of the United Kingdom confirm this, showing that older adults with a healthy gut had much lower markers of inflammation, even into their 90s and beyond. We can't talk about longevity without mentioning dark leafy greens. Spinach, kale, arugula, Swiss chard. These aren't just salad fillers. They're loaded with folate, vitamin K, lutein, and nitrates that increase nitric oxide in the blood and improve arterial function. In a country like the United States, where heart disease is still the #1 killer, Getting daily servings of these greens could change everything. One study done on over 100,000 U.S. nurses found that those who ate the most leafy greens had up to 46% lower risk of heart disease. That's almost half. But it's not just about the heart. These greens also feed your brain. Lutein and folate are directly associated with lower risk of cognitive decline and Alzheimer's. Researchers in the United Kingdom found that just one serving of leafy greens a day could make your brain perform as if it were 11 years younger. Imagine what your life could be like if your memory was sharper, your focus clearer, and your energy more consistent. This isn't fiction, it's just science being ignored by too many people in the United States. Another food that keeps showing up in longevity research is beans. Yes, beans, lentils, chickpeas, black beans, navy beans, all of them. These humble, inexpensive foods are packed with plant-based protein, fiber, and resistant starch that lower blood sugar, feed beneficial gut bacteria, and help repair the gut lining. In places like Loma Linda, California, one of the rare blue zones inside the United States, Seventh-day Adventists who regularly consume beans live on average 7 to 10 years longer than the average American. They also suffer significantly less from obesity, diabetes, and heart disease. Why? Because beans stabilize insulin. They support the liver. They feed the gut. Yet how often are beans featured in mainstream American diets? Instead, people are reaching for ultra-processed snacks and ready-to-eat microwave meals that destroy metabolic health. If the entire country of Canada started eating just 1 cup of beans a day, the long-term savings in healthcare costs would be astronomical, and the boost to national health would be undeniable. Sweet potatoes are another major player, but not just any kind. The purple-fleshed variety found in Okinawa contains compounds called anthocyanins, which are powerful antioxidants that protect the body from cellular damage. These sweet potatoes aren't just sweet, they're a longevity powerhouse. In Okinawa, people over the age of 100 often attribute their health to eating these daily. What's fascinating is that these potatoes regulate blood sugar better than white potatoes and have anti-inflammatory effects on the brain and arteries. Even in the United States, where orange-fleshed varieties are more common, sweet potatoes are still an excellent choice due to their fiber, beta-carotene, and vitamin C content. Americans struggling with insulin resistance, prediabetes, or early signs of Alzheimer's should be making sweet potatoes a weekly staple. Why isn't this being talked about more? Why are people still told to count calories instead of focusing on real, nutrient-dense food? Nuts, especially walnuts, almonds, and pistachios, are another secret weapon. These are calorie-dense, yes, but they're also nutrient-dense. A study published by researchers at Harvard showed that people who consumed nuts 5 times a week had a 20% lower risk of dying from all causes. Walnuts, in particular, are high in alpha-linolenic acid, ALA, a plant-based omega-3 fatty acid that's been shown to reduce inflammation and improve heart rhythm. In the United States, where sudden cardiac death is a major problem, this is crucial, and yet people are still afraid of fat because of outdated 1980s diet dogma that linked all fats to weight gain. In Australia and Canada, nut consumption is much more normalized as part of daily health routines. Americans should be adding a handful of raw, unsalted nuts to their breakfast or midday snack to support their heart, brain, and metabolic health. The difference over time could mean more years of mobility, independence, and cognitive clarity. Whole grains, when properly prepared, also belong on this list. We're not talking about processed bread labeled whole grain in American supermarkets. We're talking about traditional grains like oats, barley, buckwheat, farro, and quinoa, soaked, sprouted, or fermented to reduce anti-nutrients and increase bioavailability of minerals. These grains support digestive health, stabilize blood sugar, and provide steady, long-lasting energy. In contrast, refined white flour products consumed in massive quantities across the United States are linked to skyrocketing rates of insulin resistance, fatty liver, and mood disorders. Meanwhile, traditional cultures that live past 100 regularly eat unprocessed, whole grains that have been prepared correctly. The fiber content feeds good bacteria, and the B vitamins support neurological function. It's not a coincidence that, in the United Kingdom and Canada, health professionals are urging people to move away from ultra-processed carbs and toward ancient grains. The resistance in the U.S. is cultural, not scientific. This is only the beginning. The rest of the foods on this list go deeper, affecting DNA expression, stem cell regeneration, and inflammation markers that traditional medicine often ignores. The science is already clear. The results are already visible in people who've made these foods part of their daily life. But the question is, are people in the United States ready to make the shift? Can the fear of illness, cognitive loss, or mobility decline push someone to make a different choice at the grocery store this week? Every food you put in your mouth either feeds disease or fights it. And that is not an exaggeration. That is a truth people in Canada, the United Kingdom, and Australia are slowly realizing, and that the United States desperately needs to face head-on. Berries are one of the most antioxidant-dense foods you can eat, and they're absolutely essential if you want to live to 100 or beyond. Blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, strawberries, these aren't just sweet snacks. They're powerful tools against aging. What makes them so effective is their high content of flavonoids, especially anthocyanins, which reduce oxidative stress and inflammation in the brain and vascular system. In the United States, where Alzheimer's, stroke, and cardiovascular disease continue to devastate families, this is not optional. One major U.S. study from the Nurses' Health Study showed that women who ate the most berries delayed cognitive aging by up to 2.5 years. That's not just memory. It's your ability to think clearly, drive, manage money, care for yourself. In Canada and the United Kingdom, more berries are being integrated into school and elderly nutrition programs because of their role in brain development and brain preservation. Meanwhile, in the United States, they're still treated like garnish or dessert, often loaded with sugar or drenched in syrup, stripping away their benefit. But fresh or frozen, unsweetened berries eaten daily can create real changes in vascular elasticity, neuroplasticity, and gut health. Garlic is another life-extending food that's often overlooked but never should be. Especially raw or crushed and left to sit before cooking, garlic activates a compound called allicin that dramatically lowers blood pressure, reduces cholesterol, and acts as a natural antimicrobial in the gut. Chronic infections and hidden inflammation are rampant in the U.S. population, and garlic is one of the few natural agents that targets both. In multiple studies across the United States and Australia, garlic supplementation showed significant improvements in arterial flexibility and blood pressure regulation in people over 60. There's even research showing garlic may reduce the risk of certain cancers, especially colorectal and stomach cancers, by boosting immune response and inhibiting cancer cell growth. Americans who suffer from high blood pressure or cholesterol are often rushed into medications without lifestyle intervention. But cultures that regularly consume garlic as a staple, not a seasoning, experience lower cardiovascular death rates and higher life expectancy. In the Mediterranean regions and certain parts of Asia where garlic is consumed in abundance, people not only live longer, they die faster, which means they stay healthy until the end. Isn't that what we all want? Avocados deserve their place on this list, not because they're trendy, but because they're scientifically proven to support heart health, cognitive function, and metabolic flexibility. Packed with monounsaturated fats, potassium, magnesium, and fiber, avocados lower LDL cholesterol, reduce triglycerides, and support optimal blood sugar levels. In the United States, where metabolic syndrome is one of the biggest predictors of early death, these benefits are crucial. One U.S. study published in the Journal of the American Heart Association found that eating just 2 servings of avocado per week was associated with a 16% lower risk of cardiovascular disease. In Australia and Canada, dietitians are recommending avocados for seniors to help prevent muscle loss, stabilize blood sugar, and support brain health. Despite outdated myths about fat, the truth is avocados help the body absorb fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K, which are essential for immunity, bone health, and cognition. For people struggling with insulin resistance, prediabetes, or postmenopausal weight gain, incorporating avocados could significantly reduce inflammation and help rebalance hormones. It's not a luxury fruit. It's a longevity tool that belongs on your plate every single week. Green tea is more than just a beverage. It's one of the most researched anti-aging compounds in the world. Especially matcha and sencha varieties, which are rich in catechins, particularly EGCG, epigallocatechin galati, which fight cancer, reduce inflammation, and protect DNA from oxidative damage. In Okinawa, where some of the longest-living people on Earth reside, green tea is consumed multiple times a day. EGCG has been shown to extend lifespan in multiple animal studies and even influence pathways involved in autophagy and cellular repair. Americans who replace sugary sodas, energy drinks, or high-fructose juices with high-quality green tea could dramatically improve liver function, metabolic health, and cellular resilience. In the United Kingdom and Australia, green tea consumption has been increasing, especially among middle-aged individuals who are trying to support weight loss and brain health. But it's not about drinking it once or twice. Consistency is the key. Studies from Canada have also shown that green tea can help reduce the risk of certain types of breast and prostate cancer. With all this evidence, why is it still treated as a niche product in the United States? Why is it not being offered in hospitals, clinics, or schools? Turmeric is another food medicine hybrid that holds the power to push people into triple-digit longevity. The active compound curcumin has been studied extensively in both clinical and lab settings, especially in the United States and Canada. It shows anti-inflammatory, anti-tumor, and neuroprotective effects that no pharmaceutical drug can fully replicate. But turmeric on its own isn't enough. Curcumin must be paired with black pepper, which contains piperine, a compound that increases curcumin's bioavailability by up to 2,000%. In regions of India where turmeric is consumed daily, the rates of Alzheimer's disease are among the lowest in the world. Yet in the U.S., cognitive decline continues to rise, especially among people in their 60s and 70s. Turmeric doesn't just help the brain. It protects the liver, reduces joint pain, and helps modulate the immune system. In people with arthritis, curcumin has shown pain relief comparable to ibuprofen, without the gut-damaging side effects. More Americans need to stop fearing their spice rack and start seeing it as a pharmacy. Adding turmeric to stews, smoothies, soups, or teas could change your trajectory in just a few weeks. Why suffer with stiffness, inflammation, and fatigue if you don't have to? Then comes seaweed, a longevity food that's still massively underused in the United States but holds remarkable power. Rich in iodine, calcium, magnesium, and unique polysaccharides that feed beneficial gut bacteria, seaweed supports thyroid function, bone strength, and immune regulation. In Okinawa and other coastal regions, seaweed is consumed daily, often with fermented soy or fish, and the health outcomes are clear: lower cancer rates, better hormonal balance, stronger bones, and longer lifespans. Iodine deficiency is quietly creeping back into the United States, especially among women and teenagers, leading to hormonal imbalances, fatigue, and goiter. Seaweed, especially varieties like nori, wakame, and dulse, is one of the best ways to replenish iodine naturally. Canadian research has shown that seaweed extracts may also support antiviral immunity and improve skin aging. Yet Americans are still largely unaware of its benefits. It's not just a sushi ingredient. It's a complete superfood with real-world impact on aging and disease prevention. If it became a regular part of American diets, especially among women over 40, the ripple effect on public health could be huge. Pomegranates round out this section as one of the most powerful fruits for vascular and brain health. They contain punicalagins and ellagic acid, compounds that reduce oxidative damage in the arteries and support nitric oxide production. In a study published in Atherosclerosis, pomegranate extract was shown to reverse plaque buildup in the arteries of mice, and similar effects are being researched in humans. In the United States, where cardiovascular disease is still the #1 cause of death, this matters. Drinking real, unsweetened pomegranate juice or eating the seeds regularly can improve blood flow, reduce blood pressure, and potentially protect against dementia. Israeli studies have shown that pomegranates can slow the progression of Alzheimer's in early stages. In the United Kingdom and Australia, pomegranates are increasingly found in wellness products and functional beverages. Americans need to stop waiting until they're diagnosed with a disease to care about their arteries. If you're over 40 and never think about vascular health, you're already behind. But that can change, starting with the next glass of juice you pour. These foods don't just keep you alive, they keep you strong, alert, and full of vitality into your 80s, 90s, and 100s. Each one of them has been studied, proven, and used. Across countries like Canada, the United Kingdom, and Australia, where health policies are beginning to reflect what science has been screaming for decades. Yet in the United States, we're still caught in cycles of fast food, sugar addiction, and misinformation that destroy longevity potential before people even hit retirement age. The standard American diet is not just unhealthy, it's lethal. And the only way to break out of that pattern is to make new choices every single day. These foods are not expensive trends. They are tools. They are protection. They are freedom. Freedom from pain, fatigue, surgeries, and dependency. Freedom to travel, to play with grandchildren, to remember names, to walk without help. Isn't that the life worth aiming for?